Just getting an ETA on him. Look, this is the longest break since I've worked with Gennady. A couple very unique things about this promotion since I worked with Gennady since 2011. It's the longest break that he's had in his career. You're right about that. He was always the most active champion in the sport of boxing, at his level, at least at that championship level. It's the first non-title fight that I've been involved in since 2011. Well, since I started working with him in 2011. And look, the fans just wanted to see him back in the ring, and he delivered. Had such a great energy at Madison Square Garden. This really felt like a homecoming for Triple G, coming back home. We had the fights, the two Canelo fights in Las Vegas. Naturally, he's very popular in Los Angeles. He had the Martirosyan fight there. But since he sold out Madison Square Garden against Danny Jacobs, against David Lemieux, the New York fans wanted to see him back here. So they didn't care who he fought. They just wanted to see him back in the ring. Steve Rolls, you got to give him a lot of credit. As Lou said, Steve came to fight. You know, he wasn't backing down. He hit Gennady with some pretty clean shots. But you could see Gennady was using his strategy to break him down, the body shots, and then when he landed that massive left hook, that Rolls was out before he hit the canvas. Another trademark knockout over an undefeated fighter. So, any more questions, Michael? Oh, yes. That's the plan. I know DAZN signed Triple G to make that third fight. That's the marquee. That would be the marquee fight of their lineup. They're in the business not only putting on boxing but putting on the biggest fights. You saw Anthony Joshua just fought here last week, and that when you have an Anthony Joshua fight and a Triple G fight back to back, not only at Madison Square Garden but back to back on DAZN, you know, they're really changing things in the sport of boxing. And they made it clear to Gennady when he signed that they want to put on the biggest fights of his career, that are possible in his career. Like the Canelo fight is his biggest fight, just as the Triple G fight is the biggest fight for Canelo. So there's no secret about that. They fought each other twice. Arguably, Triple G won both fights, but look, the fans are demanding they want to see a third fight. And we'll do everything on our side to make that third fight. I know DAZN wants to make that third fight. With this knockout here, I think it made a huge statement that his power hasn't gone anywhere. So whether Canelo wants to make that third fight, you know, we'll see. But, you know, I heard in the media they're talking about he needs a belt or whatever. You know, Triple G fought Canelo when he had no belts. And they're frankly, Triple G and Canelo are both bigger than whatever belts are around their waist. When those two forces collide with their fan bases, those are mega events. Those are some of the biggest events that can be made in boxing. And a third fight, look, the second fight was more exciting than the first fight. Canelo actually stood his ground and fought in the second fight, built up his confidence. Now he's got to have a lot more confidence. Maybe not after this knockout, but he's got to have a lot more confidence now than he did in the first two fights. And I think the third fight will be even more exciting.
Would that be your main goal from your promotion standpoint?
There's no question. I mean, that's the goal. Gennady has voiced he wants the third fight. He had, you know, part of that layoff that he had that Peter was referring to is he was frustrated. Look, he loves the sport of boxing. He was so frustrated with that decision that, you know, 1 point from one judge can take away all those titles that he worked so hard to get. And when the majority of the fans, the majority of the media thought that he either won that fight or had a draw. So there was a lot of frustration. You know, I met with him a week after that fight, and he didn't even want to talk about boxing. You know, I just wanted to kind of, okay, let's figure out what to do. And he took some time off, naturally, between DAZN and all the other offers that he had. That took a while for him to sign. But, you know, he's back. He's back with the exclamation mark. With his knockout power and with that chemistry with Jonathan Banks, I think, you know, he signed a 6-fight deal, and I think you'll see him fight those 6 fights and potentially more with that kind of knockout power. That's not going anywhere, especially now with that chemistry that he's got with Jonathan Banks in his corner.
Let's
Tom, straight back here.
Let's say, hold on, I'm not finished. Let's say you're able to get that fight. Triple G said that he wants big fights. Who would be the next person after Canelo?
Well,
Excuse me.
clearly Canelo is the biggest fight because look, when they fought before, they did over 1 million pay-per-view buys. They set records for the gate up there in Las Vegas. Then there's a big drop-off after a Canelo fight. So, we'll see. We'll see. That's the priority. If for some reason that doesn't happen, then we'll sit down with the team. Naturally, Gennady makes the decisions all at this point of his career. He'll sit down with Jonathan Banks, but I don't think there's really any reason to speculate of a different fight until it becomes clear. Look, the second fight we thought wasn't going to happen. Golden Boy announced that they had a deadline. Actually, had a couple deadlines, and Gennady, held his ground, and we made the second fight. So I think the third fight, clearly, I'm not sure how Canelo's deal is structured, but clearly there's got to be an incentive on the DAZN side for him to fight Triple G, just like there is with Gennady to fight Canelo. So it makes sense, financial sense for both guys. It's the fight that the fans are demanding, the media are demanding, and frankly, it's, again, one of the biggest fights that can be made in the sport of boxing.
Tom, straight back.
Right here. Dan,
Right in front of
okay,
you.
there
Yep.
you go. All right.
So I know you want to do the fight with Canelo for the third time. Can you just take me through what happens next? Is it that you wake up on Monday morning and call Oscar or Eric, or what is, does DAZN call them? What's the making the sausage, so to speak, of the next step of trying to make the fight?
We'll sit down with the team. Naturally, DAZN is the common partner. Again, when Triple G signed with DAZN, John Skipper said that's the clearest path to a third Canelo fight. So, he's going to, I think John's going to do his thing with whatever he can work out with or discuss with Oscar and Canelo. And that's the priority on our side. I'll sit down with the team, sit down with Gennady, and then I don't think look, we made 2 fights with Golden Boy. There were a lot of roadblocks, a lot of obstacles in making those 2 fights. We made a lot of concessions on the Triple G side. But since they fought each other twice, I don't think there's going to be a huge issue making a third fight unless Canelo really doesn't want to get in the ring a third time with.
And then how quickly do you think there would be a resolution? I say that because September is not that far away. I mean, you have time, but how quickly would you like to have it buttoned up?
If a fight like that's made, you want to have as much lead time as possible to promote a mega fight like that. This fight was probably, beside the Martirosyan fight, this fight was the shortest lead time that we had for a Triple G fight. So that would be the optimal goal. Rather have a shorter fight, shorter promotion, and make the fight rather than a long promotion and not make the fight. So that would be the goal, Dan. I think a lot will be discussed this week now that Triple G did his part and beat Rolls.
Tom, you've seen Klitschko and Jonathan Banks and what they came with. First fight, Triple G and Jonathan Banks. What are your thoughts on that?
I've known Jonathan for a long time. I knew Jonathan when he was a sparring partner for Vladimir Klitschko. Actually, for both Vladimir and Vitaly. And when Jonathan had a huge accomplishment when he had to take over on short notice when Emmanuel got sick, trained Vladimir Klitschko in his training camp in Austria, and at the same time was training for his fight against Seth Mitchell a week later. I've never seen that happen before, where you train a heavyweight champion and then a week later you get in the ring and fight. So, Jonathan can do some extraordinary things. He knocked out Seth Mitchell in that fight. Vladimir Klitschko had a win in that fight. And now with the chemistry between Jonathan and Triple G, like I said, I think you'll see a lot more exciting fights to come in the future. Shows how successful Gennady was with Abel. Again, we're not sitting here saying that Gennady had to change all kinds of things, and that's why Abel's not working with him. Abel and Gennady had one of the most dominant runs of recent times. For Jonathan to come in on short notice and to be as successful as he was tonight, that's a huge statement for their chemistry, for what they were able to do. Not only did he bring in Jonathan, he brought in a new chef. You got to give James Lockwood a lot of credit. Harold Parker helped on the training and the strength and conditioning side. So he really kind of revamped his whole team, and he still, look at the knockout that he performed. You know, you could tell he was kind of setting up that knockout. Steve Rolls, I think, performed better than some people were expecting. We weren't surprised by it because we saw the interaction with him throughout the build-up of this promotion, and we knew Steve was coming to fight. Lou knew Steve was coming to fight. Didn't surprise us. It's just the way Gennady was able to KO him. I think it showed that his punching power hasn't gone anywhere.